Good morning, dear students. So, we are going with the reading of chapter number 8, Going Places, in class 12th. So, in this chapter, yesterday we started. We got to know that Sophie becomes a daydreamer and Jancy, her friend, is the real person in thinking. And she dreams about becoming a becoming an actress, a fashion designer, a manager, or just to open a boutique. All things we read yesterday, apart from something about Geoff, a practical person, and most of the time he remains quiet. And this is the main cause of disturbance in Sophie's mind that her brother speaks very less or a little. Now, she was thinking about going outside with her brother Geoff to see others outing place of the city. So this part, this paragraph we read yesterday. Now we continue with the next one. He sat frowning at the oily component he cradled in his hand. He sat means Geoff sat, frowning expression, some kind of anger you can say, showing on his face, as though it were a small dumb animal and he was willing it to speak. It means here the writer wants to express the unspoken word of Geoff with his body language. Now, I met Danny Casey, Sophie said. Sophie said this sentence to her brother Geoff. I met Danny Casey. Who is Danny Casey? An Irish soccer player or football player. He looked around abruptly. Where? Then this boy, means Geoff, looked around him to ask, where have you seen Danny Casey? In the arcade. Funnily enough, okay, in the arcades she met Danny Casey. It's never true. Geoff said, it's never true. I did too. You told Dad? This sentence spoken by Sophie. You told Dad. I did too. You told Dad. Did you tell this thing to Dad? She shook her head. It means this is a sentence spoken by Geoff, and she was asked by him whether she has told this meeting with Delicacy to their father or not. That's why it's question mark. She shook her head, means in negative approach. She shook her head that she did not tell this meeting about this meeting to their father. Chastened at his unawareness. Okay, chastened means corrected. Unawareness that he was always the first to share her secret. To correct himself, that Geoff is the first person in the family who tells her wild story to some other person, because he is the first listener of her wild stories. Understood? I don't believe it. It's very common statement by all the family members and Geoff also. I don't believe it means he did not or he does not believe this wild story. There I was looking at the clothes in Roy's window when someone came and stood beside me. Now she explained the incident to her brother Geoff. That once she was purchasing clothes in Roy's window. This is the location, or you can say showroom or the mall. Then suddenly somebody came and stood very close to her, and I looked around, and who should it be? Then she guessed who should it be but Danny Casey. Who was that person? None other than Danny Casey. All right, what does he look like? Then Geoff asked this question to her. How does or what does he look like? Oh, come on, you know what he looked like. What he looks like. He was told by Joffrey that you know very well that how does Danny look like. Close to, I mean, very close to, very similar to. Well, he has green eyes. Now the characteristics of his characters, Danny's characters, are being displayed here. Green eyes, gentle eyes, and he's not so tall as you would think. Now, Joffrey tells her brother that Danny has green eyes, very gentle, means polite eyesight, and he's not so tall as you think. She wondered if she should say about his teeth, but decided against it. She was about to tell something about Danny's teeth, but decided against it. Means she stopped. Then their father had washed when he came in, and his face and arms were shiny and pink, and he smelled of soap. Means right now the entry of the father is there. He came out after washing his arms and face from the washroom, you can say, and there was smell of soap. He switched on the television. He switched on the television screen, tossed one of the little Derek's shoes from his chair onto the sofa. He wanted to sit on sofa, but there was a one shoe. Okay, Derek's shoes were put on the sofa, so the father took these shoes and put on the chair, and he sat on the sofa. He sat down with a grunt. Grunt means suddenly he fell down on the, sitting posture is being given by this word grunt. Grunt means to collect your body and put it in one go. Okay, suddenly put your body from up to down. That is called grunt. Sophie met Danny Casey, Geoff said. Geoff tells his father that Sophie has met Danny Casey. Sophie wriggled. Wriggle means feeling uncomfortable and going backward physically, where she was sitting at the table. Means while sitting at the table, as Geoff delivered this sentence to their father, suddenly Sophie feel twisted and turned the body with quick short movement. This is called wriggled. Means you can say feeling uncomfortable mentally and physically also. Her father turned his head on his thick neck to look at her. As Geoff delivered this sentence, suddenly the father had a look over the face of Geoffrey. His expression was one of disdain. Okay. His expression was of disdain. Disdain means hate, scorn, negative approach. So, as he came to know that Sophie has met Danny Casey, and as the readers, like we people, know very well that the father has a negative approach, he also does not believe her wild stories like Geoff. So, the father gave a negative approach to Geoff, Joe to Sophie. It's true, Geoff said. It's true, Geoff said. Geoff assured that she has met Danny Casey. I once knew a man who had known Tom Finney. Again, this is a comment given by the father that once I met a man who had known Tom Finney, a great celebrity Tom Finney. Okay, so this is a comment by their father. His father said reverently to the television. Reverently means with the reverence, with some respect. Okay, so this sentence was a comment on Sophie, but it was delivered to television directly and indirectly to Sophie. But that was a long time ago. But he tells that I met I knew a person who had known Tom Finney and years ago, means in past time. You told us, Geoff said. Geoff said, you already have told us. Cassie might be that good someday. Now, father says, Danny Casey might be that good, might be that popular like Tom Finney one day. Better than that, even. He's the best. He's the best means Danny Casey is the best, and he will become surely good one day in future. If he keeps his head on his shoulder. This is a phrase, my dear children. Okay, this is phrase. It means to do some hard work. Keeping head on the shoulder means to become a good observant as well as to do hard work. So if he keeps his head on his shoulder, if he does hard work, if he focuses over his goal, if they look after him properly, if they take care him take care him properly, a lot of distractions for youngsters in the game these days, means at that time there had been some kind of distraction for youngsters, especially in games. He'll be alright. He's with the best team in the country. Means now these lines they talk about Danny Casey, and he'll be alright means Danny Casey will be good, will be okay, because he is in the best team of the country, best team of the nation. He's very young yet. He's young also. He's older than I am. Now Geoff says he's older than I am. Means Danny Casey is older than Geoff. Too young really for the first team. Means very young for the first team of the country. You can't argue with that sort of ability. Means we cannot compare him with that sort of ability of young, older. Okay, like this. He is going to buy a shop, Sophie said from the table. Okay, Sophie said her dialogue by sitting on the table that Danny Casey is going to buy a shop. Her father grimaced. Okay, grimaced means very bad expression on face with pain. So her father again gives negative expression like on face to show pain or disgust. Where would you hear that? Where did you means how did you come to know about this news that Danny Casey is going to open or buy a shop? He told me so. Sophie said, Danny himself told me this thing that he is going to buy a shop. Again, my dear children, you can see that Sophie starts telling a wild story. Next wild story, you can say. He muttered something inaudible and dragged himself around his chair. He muttered something. The father muttered something, spoke something inaudible that was not audible to Geoff and Sophie, and dragged himself around in his chair. Means he took his chair and shifted somewhere else. This another of your wild stories. He says that this is your another wild story. She met him in the arcade. Okay, she met him in the arcade. Geoff said to their father that she already had met Danny Casey in the arcade. Arcade means a covered passage with arches. Okay, arches. Now, and told him how it had been. And Sophie told Geoff that how the meeting was. Okay, how it looked like. Now, after this, one of these days you are going to talk yourself into a lot of trouble, her father said aggressively. Aggressively means angry. Okay, one of these days you are going to talk yourself in lot of trouble. It means whatever you are telling me right now, like wild stories, they will become a trouble for you. The father tells this thing to the girl, Sophie. Geoff knows it's true. Geoff knows it very well that father says the truth. Don't you, Geoff? Means the father asked this question to Geoff. Don't you, Geoff? He don't believe you. He don't believe you, though he would like to. He don't believe you means Geoff does not believe Sophie, and he also would like to not to believe Sophie's stories. Like this, he refers to Geoff, and this he refers to father. Means both the characters, Geoff and father, both of them, they do not believe in the wild stories of Sophie. Then the table lamp cast another umber. Umber means yellow glow, yellow light across her brother's bedroom wall. Now the lamp is giving yellow light, and across the large poster of United First Team squad and the row of colored photographs beneath. And in this room there were large poster of United First Team, okay, and row of colored photographs. Means the room was full with three of them of young Irish prodigy Cassie. Okay, three posters, they belong to prodigy. Prodigy means a person uh, who has surprising qualities, talents. Cassie means three photos, three posters were of Danny Cassie. Promise you will tell no one, Sophie said. Sophie said to Geoff, promise me that you will not tell my story to anybody else. Nothing to tell is there. Now Geoff comments, there is nothing to tell to somebody because all the things that you told me, they are untrue or they are just wild stories. Promise, Geoff. Dad would murder me. Now Sophie says, if you tell this thing to somebody else, otherwise dad will come to know about my meeting with Danny Casey. He definitely will murder me. Only if he thought it was true. When he will come to know that it is true, definitely he will murder me. Please, Geoff. Christ means she remembers the God, the Almighty Christ. Sophie, you are still at school. You are still at school. Geoff tells his sister that Sophie, you are still at school. Cassie must have strings of girls. Means Danny Cassie must have a number of girls like you, and you are still at school. My dear children, I just tell you, this is a philosophical approach or motivational approach given by the brother to his sister, that it is not her age to think about a person who has a lot of girls around him. Means she should, according to Geoff, Sophie should focus her task, her project, her life properly. No need to think about the person who has already a lot of girls around him. No, he does not. But Sophie does not believe that he has strings of girls. How could you know this? He jeered. Okay, he jeered means with some expression, with harder some expression. He asked, how could you know this? That he means Danny Casey does not have strings of girls. He told me. That's how. Again, she speaks lie. He told me. That's how. Okay, so again, wild story. As if anyone would tell a girl something like that. As if anyone would tell a girl something like that means no male member in the world would like to tell this thing to any girl about strings of girls around him. Yes, he did. He isn't like that. Sophie said, he is not like other person. He is means dash means she wanted to put something about his uh, characteristics, but she did not. Then quiet. She became silent. Now, as quiet as all that, but suddenly there was silence all around, apparently, very clearly. It was nothing like that, Geoff. It was me. Means it was nothing like that. Means whatever you think, Geoff, it's not like that. Okay, Geoff. So, my dear children, today we stop here. Okay, we will continue this chapter tomorrow also, and I just want to summarize today's reading, in which we come to know that Sophie tells her brother that she has met Danny Casey, and father also gave negative approach about her wild stories, and Geoff never believes. And two times Sophie gives us wild stories of meeting with Danny Casey at Royal's window as well as uh, in the arcade. Okay, that's all for today. Till then, do reading, and I hope you have understood the things and be safe. Thank you. Have a good day.